Very good evening to you. It's gone Friday night, 7 o'clock, and you are tuned to the football pitch live on YouTube. Got a full house tonight. Myself, obviously, hosting Cammy McDonald, regular co-host Dennis Newell. We're also joined by regular guest and Aberdeen fan for his sins in a shape by Ian Harrison. And for the first time making his first appearance, popping his cherry, as we say, we have Scouse Andy Lockhart, who, like myself, is a Washington Commanders, Washington Redskins fan. But for his sins, he is a Liverpool fan. And just to give you an idea, we will be talking Liverpool tonight. What has happened to the Anfield Club this season? Premier League champions last season, but it's all gone belly up this season. But go ahead, like, subscribe to us on YouTube. As I say, it does help us out a ton, as it says on the screen there. Go ahead, tell your pals and everything else, all that kind of good stuff. But we'll start with Dennis. Dennis, good evening. So I'm completely thrown because I couldn't hear the intro music there. So I'm
okay.
But good evening, Dennis. How are we?
Good evening, Cammy. Good evening, Ian, and you, Andy, as well. Everybody's fine, I think. We're all
good. We're all good. Right, so we will start at Anfield, Scouse. Like, get you in bright and early tonight.
Okay.
Liverpool last season, I think, surprised everyone. The manner they won the Premier League, obviously, Arne Slot's debut season, they were absolutely outstanding. Slot doing it, obviously, with Klopp's team from the previous season. This year, he's gone ahead. He's brought in his own players. He's definitely got his own squad. He's went out and spent an absolute fortune. Brought in Isak from Newcastle. But it's all gone belly up. Cannot buy a win. Cannot win at Anfield. European night the other night, absolutely dreadful. Losing 3-0 to Forest at the weekend. And to top it all, mate, you're a Washington fan as well. So everything's going tits up for you just now, mate. But what's going wrong at Anfield?
I mean, can we go back to last year, please? Because this is an absolute joke. And I'm also watching them good last year as well. So I had a good last year. This season, not awful, man. Yeah, completely different. Yeah, I think there's a lot going on at Anfield. I think there's a lot of player power. I think there's a lot of egos in that dressing room now, which I don't think were there until these new signings have showed up.
Yep.
I don't think Isak has helped at all. I don't mean just on the field. I mean, like just in the dressing room. I think him and Ekitike just don't get on. And because Ekitike, well, as he came in, now Isak's come in to try and take his place. You know what I mean? So already it's an instant, button heads already. And Slot, we've lost 9 of the last 12 games.
Yep.
Last time we did that was in the 50s. So, it's kind of a long time ago since we've been dealing with that kind of crap. And we haven't always been good either. Even in the 90s, we didn't do shit like this. Sorry for swearing, but, it's that kind of thing, man. Like, I'm just not impressed. I'm not impressed with Slot. I don't think the players have worked at all. I was one of those guys at the start of the summer transfer window. I was looking at it going, we're changing the team too quickly. We're changing too many out, too many in. And this team's got to gel and it's going to take a long, long time. We won't be able to hit the ground running to actually produce the results we need. Because obviously being champions, you expect to be up there again this year. And obviously it's unfortunately been proven right. I don't know what a Slot actually is real, like what I'm looking for. His real formation that he really wants to play. And because he doesn't know that, and we don't know that as fans, it's kind of like, well,
yeah,
the players don't know it either. So it's kind of it's a big problem, man. And there's a lot of poor performances going on as well.
Yeah,
I mean, Konate is an absolute liability, absolute joke. I mean, this guy should have been booted out the team weeks ago. Being honest with you, and the fullbacks that new ones have brought in. I mean, I liked those signings at the start. Thought they actually would be really good for us. However, horrible. Give me Robertson back again. Wish I could have Robertson 5 years ago. I'll tell you that. Wish I can still have him at his prime years. We all love Robertson. But he's still better than Kirk is right now.
Yeah.
Right back. I don't understand Slot's game there either. it's kind of like he spends 30 odd million on Frimpong, but he's got Brad, and then he signs Bradley to a new long-term deal, but then doesn't want to play any of them when they're available.
Yeah.
He wants to play Slide there instead.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It's like, what are you doing, bro? So, it's, I mean, I think he's losing the plot. I really do. And I think he's that close to being printed out. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a regular contributor in the shape of Graham Duffy, and Graham's basically saying, I'll bring it back up on the screen again. He's saying there, not many excuses, and there is a lot wrong right now, but he's saying, obviously, the loss of Jota is having a huge impact. Obviously, you're hearing his song every 20 minutes or so, and that's going to be emotional. So you can understand that. Again,
this is a Jota jersey as well. Yeah. I mean, that's horrible. I mean, we weren't expecting that, and plus he was one of the life and souls of the party. He was one of those guys that everybody loved. He wasn't one of those dicks. And the only reason why he was driving in the first place because he had a minor surgery that didn't allow him to fly home. So he thought, I don't want to miss training. So he took a nice car, Lamborghini drive, unfortunately. But the thing is, though, I know it's horrible, but we still won the first 5 games of the season.
Yeah.
And that's where it's at its most raw. So it's kind of like, well, what happened there? Like, we weren't great in those games, don't get me wrong. Like, we nicked those games big time. We probably deserved to win maybe one of them out of those 5, but we ended up getting 5 out of 5. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, okay, this is the rough period, and we're going to keep going on to win. But no, we've lost 9 of the last 12 games, man.
Yeah. Dennis, you look at it there, and Graham, as I
agree about what Graham says, though, about Jota. I do agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Graham's obviously saying there as well, too many players have lost for him. Kanate's been awful all season. The only player who's playing at a high level is Szoboszlai, and the other night he looked good, from the highlights that I watched. He definitely did. Kanate is, as they're saying, he was a bomb scare at the back.
The liability, he's been an absolute liability. To be fair, he's been not great even last season. It wasn't good. It's just that we kind of covered for him quite well. Yeah, Van Dijk was in a lot better form than he is now. And don't forget, we keep thinking about this. Van Dijk's old now. He's 33, 34. He's not going to be the same player as he was, 6-7 years ago. So we expect him to be able to run, still play the high lines when you've got an idiot like Konate next to you. I mean, it's a bit like, well, it's only so much a man can do,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Dennis, obviously, I know you've got a fond spot for Liverpool, a bit of fondness for Liverpool for the 70s and 80s. But the slide, Dennis, has been absolutely alarming. And I mean, you're listening to Andy there, who's obviously a fan. The comments Graham's putting on in terms of his contributions, which we obviously thank you for a great deal, Graham. It's great for you getting involved in the show. But, Dennis, it's alarming, The slide just, you can't blame it on one thing, and I don't necessarily think you can blame it on the loss of Jota, as a big impact in the dressing room, but he's brought in too many players for it to have a massive impact, Dennis.
Yeah. He spent £450 million in the summer, and he spent £125 million on Isaac, and is the worst run they've had in 71 years. More or less expanding, just a bit more detail in Andy there. The fact of the matter is that the first year we sung his praises because we actually felt that Slot was just not tinkering with it. What's not broken, don't try and fix it. And he ran through the season, not alternate, letting the players go out, just bedding his cell in nicely. Now, the second season, you then start to look at his team. And you also look at it, and that's the question I was going to ask Andy is, how long has Richard Hughes been at the club? Because he's the man that's making decisions on what players are coming in. So when you look at that, you say to yourself, is this the same scenario as we've got up in Scotland with Rangers and identifying the right players and the manager gets thrown under the bus with it? Slot, to a point, has got to realise that you're now in control. It's your team. The days are gone by where Klopp had just, it kept going. You had Mo Salah went off, players have left, Andy Robertson was left out, and it just it disintegrated slowly but surely, well before the £450 million was spent, to be perfectly honest. And then Isaac came in, and the way that deal was done was a total shambles. So there's a lot wrong with it, and that's why I'm asking about Richard Hughes. How long has he been there? Because rather than just having a go at the manager, you've got to look further up the ladder to see where the signings are being made, who authorised them, and how much knowledge have they actually got with previous players. Was he around when Salah and people like that were being signed, or is he fairly new to the club?
See, now Richard Hughes, this is his second stint at Liverpool.
Right.
He did the same job for about 5 years, I think, near the start of Klopp's era. So he was there for the Salah and all those guys. But then I think him and Klopp had a falling out. Klopp wanted to kind of run the whole show. He wanted to sign every single player that was his own and all the rest of it. So Richard left. And he went to Bournemouth, I think, then for about 3 years. That's why he knows Kirk. That's why we keep stealing all Bournemouth's players. If you noticed that one, they buy a lot of Bournemouth players. We have to Semenyo as well in January. So again, all these things, all Richard Hughes is all part of that. And I do think, but he only came back this year though, so he is brand new to Slot.
Right.
But again, I mean, I think, well, don't forget, Slot didn't get any transfers last year. It was a case he got, and that was already signed before really he showed up. And he doesn't even like Chiesa, even though he's probably been our best, most impactful player. Actually, Chiesa, I mean, he plays 5 minutes a game. That's how bad we've been, So, and Slot just doesn't fancy him, just doesn't want to put him on the field when we've got a chance to actually do something.
Yeah. But he certainly did have the situation where he came in and he didn't rock the boat. And Graham's put a print up there. Klopp's players that you could argue didn't work because Klopp didn't win the league. But the combination of Slot coming in with Klopp's players worked really well. I think the recipe at that moment in time was a great transferring around now to say we need to change the whole team, the whole setup, the whole style. That still wasn't needed. And I think it's been too much of a gulf in the way that they've gone from league winners to now trying to make progression. And the jigsaw parts are just not working. They're definitely not working. Throwing money at it because the money they've spent is unbelievable. And I mean, there's some deadwood there, as you rightly say, Andy. And I think what you need really as well as Salah getting back in form. All strikers go off the boil. We were talking about this last week, and I think he's and again I go back to the other one as well, Robertson. I don't know really why he was left out. They thought they had a replacement. He's not that old. He's still got a bit of life left in him yet, as we can see in the Scottish games. So it's a difficult to drop. Other teams get away with it. The expectations are so high that the next stage is then you talk about will he get the sack. I don't think he will unless he goes another 5 or 6 games without winning. I can still see him being here after Christmas. I don't think they're that bad, but at the same time, everybody's gunning for them now, and that doesn't help.
Ian, you're obviously saying you've got a Liverpool fan at home as well, or close to a Liverpool fan. What's his thoughts, and obviously your own thoughts on what's happening? I mean, is this something that Slot can turn around to change basically the rudderless ship?
When I spoke to him last night, and I'll give you some facts, right? So here's facts from the game last night. Liverpool possession last night was over 63%. The 27 shots on goal, opposition had 9. The 10 actually on target. They had 55 touches opposed to 15 inside the opposition's box. They had 11 corners opposed to 4. They won every single contest that you could put down as a stat. Now, if I told you that was stats, right, but I didn't tell you the score, who would you have thought would have won? And there's no way I would have thought a team would have lost 4-1. And there's no way. So they're creating chances, they're just not taking them. They're winning the aerial duels, okay, and they're getting caught at the back, right? And that's a problem. Now, last year, Osmond, that's my son-in-law, he turned around and said, "You're Scotland captain. He's no use. We need rid of him. He's too slow. He makes too many mistakes. He is the problem in Liverpool's back four." And that was last year. And Osmond wasn't the only one to say that. There was quite a few saying the same thing. So, give him his due. The manager reacted, and he brought a player in who he thought was the right player. Now, obviously, he's not fitting in at the moment. Most of the mistakes he's made, the ones that have been highly profiled, have led to a goal or whatever. But they are still having one or two problems at the back. That's where they need to start. And he agreed. He says that the last thing they ever thought was they would have to sort out the back four. But that looks as if where the problem is. Now, is it the back four, or are they not getting the right support from the midfield?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. The engine house is probably not working as well as possibly it should be. It depends on the actual setup that he's adopting at the moment. But they're still involved in very entertaining games, but it just seems to be going the wrong way. I agree. Salah's gone off the boil. He's maybe of an age that he ain't going to come back on. I mean, that's worst case scenario. He may not get back there. But I think the point that you made right at the very start is the egos in a club. And it just goes to show you can have as many world-class players in the team. It happened to Real Madrid about 10, 15 years ago. But they had 11 players that basically didn't like each other. And their form dipped incredibly. And if I remember right, it was Mourinho was a fall guy for it all. He ended up having to take it because the dressing room was split between Portuguese players and basically Spanish players, and they hated each other. They couldn't get on, therefore didn't play as a team. Now, I'm not saying that's happening at Liverpool at the moment, but the things that you're reading about, I mean, if I was a player there, I mean, one, you'd be absolutely amazed that you are there and you're earning the money that you're earning. And if somebody comes in to contest you for a position, does it not just inspire you to play better? Instead
it should do, yeah. That's it.
No. So I think it's the players themselves that need a good shake-up.
Andy, Graham's made a point, and he actually just preempted what I was going to ask next. How much of a miss is Trent? You know, in terms of, you're talking about the loss of form of Robertson, you're talking about the fact that Van Dijk's not getting any younger, Salah's not getting any younger. Obviously, the sad passing of Jota. But one thing that nobody seems to mention is the fact that Trent left to go to Real Madrid, and that's coincided with the loss of form of Salah, you know, because he's got nobody coming down that right-hand side to create anything for him at all, you know. So, and obviously if Robertson's not in a position, well, one where he's not playing, but if he is playing, he can't get down that left-hand side to get the ball across goal, even for Salah coming in at the far post, you know. So there's nothing happening for Mo Salah. So how much of a loss is Trent Alexander-Arnold?
I mean, is he a loss? Yes. I think he's a loss as in going forward. I mean, defensively, he's always had an issue. But again, let's face it, he stood next to the liability that is Konate. So who was the real problem there? Was it Trent? Or was it actually Konate who kept saying the same thing all the time? Trent can't defend. Well, actually, maybe it's because he was left on his own a lot, because Konate was just doing his own thing because he's a goddamn fool, you know? So, and then Sal doesn't track back. That's one thing that Sal doesn't do. He really tracks back. So the right back does always gets kind of like isolated a little bit. And a lot of teams are getting onto that this season. They're really, really punishing us down our right-hand side because there's nobody there. There's Bradley on his own, or there's going to be Frimpong, who really is more of a winger, more than a fullback. So he's not great at tackling. I mean, Bradley's trying to do his best out there when he does play. And Szoboszlai say he's a very good player, but again, he's not a right back. You know, he should be playing attacking midfield where he should be playing. That's the best position. So, but normally it's always been that way where like Gravenberch would always kind of come across and try and help out the right back. That'd be his main job. Where this year, Slot's allowing him to get forward as well.
Yeah,
which again doesn't make sense because he's the only real backup defensively we've got in our midfield. You know, McAllister's not been the same player this year. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know why his form's so bad. Last season was fantastic. This season, he's awful. Like really different. Like who's this McAllister? Is this his brother or something? You know, honestly, because it's just ridiculous how much his form's dropped. And I'm saying Gravenberch's doing his best out there, but again, now they're giving him free reign to go forward. At the end of the day, everyone thought he was an attacking midfield player before we started playing him and holding midfield. So his natural instincts now to go forward, leaving the midfield wide open. Our defense is crap as it is, and we always play a high line. You know, and you know, teams just picking us apart, man.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been injured a while as well, which doesn't help us.
Yeah, Graham's asking there. Do you think he should have pushed harder to get Gay? Now, I think Gay's probably one of the best fullbacks in the league. I think he's absolutely outstanding. His form at Palace this season has been nothing short of sensational. And again, he chips in with the odd goal as well. You know, so I've got him in my fantasy. So he's getting me points.
He plays centre back, doesn't he? He plays in a 3, doesn't he? Plays in a 3. Yeah. I think when you're looking at Slot's true system, I think he really wants to play 3 at the back and have 2 genuine wing backs, and that's what he would have in Kerkez and Frimpong. However, we haven't got the centre backs to do it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So Gay, yes. I mean, we were all too respectful, I think, in that one. Where with the Isak one, we kind of like, you know, muddied the waters a little bit, kind of made them think about it, made them all stew a little bit, and then Newcastle obviously caved at the end. We should have done a little bit of that with Gay. We were too professional. You know what I mean? If we really wanted him, we should have kind of forced the issue a little bit. I mean, Glasner threatened to resign and all sorts. You know what I mean? If he sold, that's why last minute he pulled out.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, he's a big upgrade in Konate. I mean, Konate wouldn't be anywhere near that first team if we had him.
Yeah. I mean, Isak to me was a player that you went out and spent £125 million that you didn't need. You know, whereas Gay is a player you could probably have got him for 75, 80 million maybe. You know, it's certainly his form smacks of being that type of defender. You know, whether he's playing.
We had 30 mil, didn't we? We had him set up for 30 mil.
30 mil?
Yeah, because this is last year of his deal. He's got a Palace.
Okay.
So we waited to near the end to get him cheaper, I think. Or Palace was still playing, to try and stall it as long as he can, do you know what I mean? But then Glasner threw his dummy out the prime, which is fair enough. He's one of your best defenders, you know.
Yeah.
The word coming out of Spain is that if Gay doesn't go to an English club in the January transfer, he's going to Spain, and that's what he's hanging out for.
Yeah.
I think he wants to go to Spain.
I don't know. I really don't. But I think when potentially it was an overseas. It depends what his agents agreed with, whatever. But he's hanging out for, and they think that is what it is. If you can do a Trent, okay, whereas he just times out his contract and then all the money goes to him. Mm-hmm. No transfer deal, no nothing. The money just goes in between him and the agent. They pocket the lot. So look out for Trent's Spanish teacher heading to Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I don't only think Gay. He comes across like a natural, genuine person. You know, like a genuine nice guy, like a true leader, true captain. I don't think he'd do that to Palace. Unless Palace said, "Look, we want you to keep your contract, and we'll let you go for free." Unless they've agreed that with Palace, I can't see him doing that. It's not like Trent, where he led us along. Oh, the agent's going to talk about it. The agent's going to do this. This is why a lot of us were hurt when they decided to do that, because one, he's one of our own. Two, he just played us, played the fans the whole way down, and that's the reason why he gets booed. And that's why he got all that hatred. For when he came on, when he made the decision, when he played for us at that time, and then when he went to Madrid, he got grief again. So, there's ways and means of going about it. If you want to ruin legacy, it's very easy to do that. I mean, Trent had like 80 odd assists for us from right back. it's phenomenal output. You know what I mean? But now everyone's forgetting about that. Only focus on the negatives of him. So, what a way of ruining yourself to get loads of money. Which, to be fair, he was earning 250 grand a week at Liverpool. So it's not like he's broke. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's yeah. No.
Is it as bad as we're thinking? Because while I was listening to you there, I had a look at the Champions League. The Champions League situation, when you look at it, you're looking at that 8th spot and above to be in the mix, right?
Automatic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Liverpool are sitting in 9 points, right? And then to get into the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you just need to win the next game. You came in 6th spot. So that to me is no so much doom and gloom. It's the expectations of Liverpool. Then you look at the league. Now, sitting in 12th is not healthy, but a 2-game swing gets you to 24 and you're sitting second in the league.
It's not all the end of the world. But the thing is, though, we've got to start winning some games. That's the problem. And
I know that.
We're not seeing any improvement. Worse. It's getting worse. That's the problem.
We're sitting here with potentially thinking, I'm the only one that's mentioned it. Will the manager stay? Will the manager go? On the back of where the position is at this moment in time. It's the last thing I would even think would be thought about at this moment in time, when potentially you're still able to get up into that top section of Champions League, and you still could be sitting in second place at this moment in time after 3 games. So,
I mean, yes, you're not wrong.
I would like to sit here again, maybe in a month, Andy, and we have a conversation that's deeper, rather than, it's not even a knee-jerk reaction. It's sensible because the decline in Liverpool since last year has been really rapid, right? It's a rapid performance, and the money spent, I think, is the real issue, rather than me just creating 2 positions around, or as Ian brings it, stats for the midweek game. I think they don't look that bad. But I think it's because you know how good they can be.
We have 20 shots of the game. Problem is we're shooting from 35 yards, so keepers are making easy saves. And when we try and get to actually kind of close to the area, it gets blocked. You know what I mean? They're just defenders are defending better. So it's not like their keepers are playing outstanding and having man of the match games every week. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they're not. And it's just our poor finishing, and it's just like we're very ball greedy. Like you watch our team play. What you see. You see our inside forwards, so our Salah, and you got Gakpo on the other side. Mostly, what do? They cut it and hit it. That's all they do all the time. Like, they don't actually try and do any 1-2s, anything kind of around the corner, anything down the line. Wait for the fullbacks to get there, because that's what Kirkers and Robertson are good at, getting forward. And yeah, you don't wait for them to get there. Then you just start doing the wrong thing, and that's the problem. When you're not working as a true team with good cohesion, you're going to get problems, and changing the team so vastly as well. That's on Slot, and also it's up to him to get these guys playing together and all singing from the same hymn sheet. And he's not been able to do that, as you say. When he first walked in, he was very smart. He didn't change a lot. He kept the 4-3-3 the way Klopp had it, but then he made slight subtle changes. And what he was really good at was second half adjustments, because even that season when we walked the league, we struggled in the first half many games, but then he'd do a slight tactical tweak and it worked every single time. And they think, this guy's a genius. Do you know what I mean? And obviously it all went well, and we kicked ass, and then we won the league by March. Then he went DJing in Ibiza. Slot did. That's the manager doing that. So these are the kind of things you're thinking. Wait there, Mo. If your manager's doing that, then what the players going to be doing on the side when they're not actually? And that's why we lost the last 5 games of the season, because we already won the league.
Yeah, he got the best out of Gravenberch last season as well. That was something else. He managed to get a bit of form out of Gravenberch, which is something that.
Yeah, Klopp struggled a little bit with that, and
Klopp couldn't get that. So he got that. Obviously, Szoboszlai's been decent as well this season, as we say. But beyond that, there ain't a great deal happening, So
he looked really good for the first 5-6 games, and then Isak came in and his forms fell off. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and Isak's not playing well. Salah's not playing well. So it smacks of he's had a manager who's had too much money to spend, hasn't known where to spend it, and basically frittered away a hell of a lot of money. You know, now whether that's Richard Hughes, Dennis, as you say, or whether, as I say, it's a slot saying, look what I've done last season, we're going to need to strengthen and push on, which they certainly haven't done so, you know, but
I mean, FSG have always been part of analytics.
Yeah,
they're heavily into it, so they prefer to buy a younger guy for big money and have him for 4 or 5 years, and you know, if keep him great, or we sell him at that point, you know, and hopefully make more money back on the guy. Yeah. So that's the kind of most of the players we bought this year have been like that. The younger guys, they're 22, 23 years old. You know, there's no one older than that really that we were signing. Which again, that's what you want. You want a guy that you buy a player, you want him to be there for 3, 4, 5, 6 years onwards. You know, as long as they're good enough. That's the whole point. So Richard Hughes is all part of that, 100%.
Graham made an interesting point earlier when he mentioned, is it Chiesa?
Chiesa.
Anytime I've watched him, he's come on as a sub or wherever he's come on, he's made things happen.
Yeah,
but
he looks better.
He never seems to get a start. Now, do you persevere with players that are out of form, or do you just say, boys, you just need to sit the sideline because I do have an option? But at the moment, it's almost like he's too scared to drop them.
That's what I was just going to say. I think I totally agree. I think he's not holding these legendary players to account. You know, Van Dijk is not doing the business. Salah's not doing the business. You know, you can go through like 8 to 11 aren't playing well. You know, it's kind of like, but he's not doing anything about it. He's not punishing these guys. He's not like fining them. He's not dropping them. He's not doing anything. It's just like, carry on, lads. Keep going.
Andy, that's where I think I look at this, and that's when you start to point the finger at the manager. If players are not doing well, and this covers all areas, there's no sentiment when you stick a guy out in the park if he's not doing the gig for you, and that's where you lose your job. You lose the job because you do not take them out of the team. I'm seeing that regular up here in Scotland, and he's doing a good job. But, you know, the persistent playing bad players, when in actual fact there is outlets, more so in Liverpool, that are not being used in relation to try and improve the team. And that annoys me big time, because when you try and defend a manager and you start to look at what changes he's made to freshen it up, and he's not doing it, that's when I think to myself, that's when you make a judgment and say, is he the right guy? Because he's not seeing the mistakes. If he is, he's not rectifying it, and that's his job. And that's where I say the jury's out on him, because the points you're making now, he's not changing flawed players. You've got to get fresh blood in there. If Salah's not doing the gig, as Graham's rightly saying, and Ian's talking about there as well, you've got to let him get out, freshen his cell up and come back in and compete against the guy that he's been replaced by. That's what you've got to do. You need that competition in the team. And if you've not got to be competitive, you've no future at any club. So, you know, that's where the whole thing, looking at the manager and what he's doing to improve it, is in question then.
Yeah, the problem is with Slot is that he kind of like just in the post-match interviews, he just talks a load of crap. You know what I mean? Like this season, like you're just thinking, what are you talking about? Well, what are you watching in this game? Like, am I watching the same game? Like what are you doing? Like for example, he talks about the left winger. We didn't buy a left winger. I think our biggest miss, as in the guys we sold, is Luis Diaz. I think we're really, really missing someone like him. Because when we were struggling, he was a guy who would take the game by the scruff of the neck and do something about it. You know, and that dragged the team along. Do you know what I mean? Like he was that good. Like Diaz is that good, and he's killing it in Germany, which I knew he would.
Well, he's got goals in him. That's always, you know, if you look at the goals in him, when Salah's dried up, he would be chipping in and getting these goals. That across the team is important, rather than just relying on maybe one man.
100%. And Gakpo isn't the same player as that. Mm-hmm. And then they went, well, we didn't buy a left winger to help Gakpo, because we've got the young lad named Rio Ingamoa, his name is. 17-year-old, looks phenomenal player. However, he's raw. You know what I mean? So we don't want to stunt his growth. Okay, but then you don't even play him. It's always Gakpo every single week, every single game. It's like me. You got your favourites, mostly the Dutch guys, by the way, Slot. You know, and he's just Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think if we lose Sunday, I think he's gone. I genuinely believe it.
I think it is that.
Sunday, I think he's gone.
Yeah, nothing would shock me there. But what I would say, and just on the point of what Graham's saying again, which is, where are the leaders? They should be coming forward. And just what he's saying. If you're going to play me, I want to play every week because I'm good enough, and the players around about me are good enough to get us out of this hole. We've just been unfortunate at the moment. But it ain't coming, is it?
No. Do you see it? I mean, I've not seen anything. I've not seen proof of life. I've not seen anything. I would
love to know who was responsible for all these transfers, getting the losing of Luis Diaz, the players that are coming in. At the moment, the manager's taking the hit for it all. It was probably completely out of his hands because it's a business they're running.
Mm-hmm.
Completely a business they're running. And he is a coach, and that's probably where was that. You get to make no decisions on players coming in, going out, because we're here to make big money. And you will work with what we've given you.
If that's the case, then say
£500 million isn't good business sense, then you know, wasting £500 million in the transfer market ain't good business sense, you know, especially when you brought in players who are not of a quality to make your club any better. And some of them haven't. Isaac's been exceptional at Newcastle, but he was a one-man striker. Let's be honest, you know, he had a couple of bit part players alongside him at Newcastle. He's not a player to come in and take the game by the scruff of the neck. You only need to look at what he's done at Sweden, you know, what he's done internationally. He's not that type of player. He's not a player he's got to be the main focal point. He's not a team player, is what I was kind of saying there, you know.
He goes missing a lot of the time. And that's what he does. Yeah.
Sorry.
But in saying that, the board could protect the manager if they wanted to by saying, these are the decisions that were made by the board, not by the manager, by the board.
Boards don't do that, Ian.
But they don't do it.
Why would they take that? You pay the manager to give all that.
Do that. That's the thing, you know.
But Cammy, what we're seeing now is, and it's really coming to the surface, bad decisions made by sporting directors will put them in the big circle. All the people that are bringing in players and accountable to each club, we'll call them sporting directors, right? There is now an abundance of them that are dragging managers and the clubs down because they don't have an eye for talent. They don't. They're not fit for purpose. We're seeing it up here in Scotland. We're seeing it at both the major clubs, Celtic and Rangers. Lesser clubs, say like Aberdeen, do it a bit better, I think. But when you look at the two main teams up here, terrible decision making by people that are not actually you would class as part of the management team, sporting directors, and we've seen it year after year now, bringing in total garbage that are no fit for purpose, and the agents have run rings round them. Rings round these guys. And it's as if they've got stuffing hanging out the back of their head when the agents come in.
Yeah.
And you just see it week in and week out. And as we talk about it there with your man, Richard Hughes, is he the main man that's accountable? And as Ian rightly says, they're coaches, they're only doing the job they've been employed to do. I don't think they should be thrown into the lion's den like that, because good people have lost their job on bad decisions made by these sporting directors. And the sooner clubs look at this bigger picture and say to themselves, wait a minute, we need to get this right, because these guys have been hung out to dry, that we're paying a good salary to as managers or coaches, and it's not really 100% their fault, but on you go. And then there's another dud is brought in as a bad player. So who's really accountable? And I would always ask the question, I'd say to Richard Hughes, would you actually spend that money of your own on that player if you had it? Would you spend that money? That's a question you should all ask yourself. I mean, we just need to look at Rangers, which hopefully I'll have a rant on in about 10 minutes.
You go
£8 million in a guy that can't score goals. Now, if you had £8 million, would you buy him? No, it wasn't your money. So you don't give a damn.
It's always easy to spend other people's money.
I mean, you spend 125 million. on a player. Would,
mean, you
would
think
you
you're
actually
getting-
spend that if you were a millionaire? Even of
I
course you
think
would.
you're hoping to get that kind of, it's a can't miss deal. Like, as in, like, it's never going to go wrong. You're buying those type of dudes. Those guys are just the elite players. It's like, so if I'm Richard Hughes, I'm thinking, well, I've got 300 mil in the bank that I can kind of, go and get that guy, and go and get Ekatike and this and this guy, and which is great. But as I say, it's one of them. You think that I can't go wrong with getting Isak. He's proven Premier League. He's proven goal scorer. You're thinking, game on, and we need a new number 9. So I was like,
would he buy a second-hand car? This guy, of course he wouldn't. He'd make sure it's brand new with a warranty. You're buying these players and they've got nothing.
Yeah,
there's no, half of them are dead money.
26, 27. You think, okay, but I get your point.
And it's a different system. Liverpool employ a different system for what Newcastle did.
Oh yeah.
As I say, that's the difference. And it's the same as I say with Sweden. He's just he's gone off the boil there as well. So I mean, he was outstanding last year at Newcastle. Let's not take that away from him. He was absolutely fantastic. Scored a hell of a lot of goals, looked good doing it, and led the line really, really well for them. But it's a different system that they employ at Liverpool. That it is almost the 3 up front, for what I've been watching, and Newcastle just didn't do that. He led the line himself. He was the sole focus. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he can be, I hesitate to say a team player, but I don't think he plays well with other players around him. That's the difference, and when you look at that, it's all one turning and saying, well, we'll spend X amount of million on him, he's a great player. We'll spend X amount on him, he's a great player. If you cannot adapt your style of play to the system that club plays, as Isak patently can't, then you're not going to be a success, And that's where, Dennis, I'll agree with you on sporting directors. Sporting directors are only looking at saying, right, well, we'll bring him in, he's a great player. We'll bring him in, he's a great player. But if you do not play the style of football that the manager wants, that doesn't matter how good you are,
And I think as well with Liverpool, like, they've definitely changed the intensity, the tempo of how they play.
Graham mentioned that earlier on.
We're very controlled now. We're very like City-esque, pass the ball around forever. We're not that type of team. Klopp made us that, heavy metal, 100-mile-an-hour end-to-end. Yeah. Our best games this season, we played similar way of that way in 2 games this year, and that was Villa and Real Madrid, and we won those games. That old school 4-3-3 Klopp style type of play, high intensity, high press all day. That's how we should be playing. But no, we pass it around all day, and teams now are so smart. They just go, oh, well, I'll leave that to Konate because he can't pass the ball more than 5 yards. So it's like. So it breaks down, because what happens then is that, well, what's he do with the ball? He panics. He just passes it back to the keeper. Keeper boots it long. It's like, well, that's not good. That's not very good.
No, there's Konate plays like a Skoda when Liverpool needs a Ferrari. There you are. You say it breaks down. But
you just look at it and it breaks down. Exactly, that's what he is. It's I genuinely believe if that young Italian fella didn't get hurt in his first game, I think he'd be playing now ahead of Konate. Leone, his name is 18-year-old. I really do believe he'd be playing ahead of Konate because he's a joker. He's an absolute joker. His head's been turned by Real Madrid, and then all of a sudden Real Madrid come out today and say, we're not interested in signing you, mate.
Right.
That's for 2 years they made him wait down his contract like Trent. And now it's like, oh no, you're playing like shit, we don't want you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like now he's in limbo a little bit. So we'll see how it goes with him.
Yeah. Well, that's 45 minutes on the perils of what's happening in Merseyside and Liverpool. Bringing it back to Merseyside, Dennis, you talked earlier on about the Rangers not being able to sign a striker. Signing Chimiti, who's scored. Let's be fair, Scouse has scored more goals recently than what Chimiti has in the last 5 seasons. So ex-Everton player. Thelwell brings him in from Everton. There have been accusations of cash for the boys and whatever else, looking out for what he's done previously. Rangers at long last saw the light and got rid of, during the week, Thirlwell and Patrick Stewart. Both have departed from the club. You touched on it earlier on, talking about sporting directors. Rangers at long last have got rid of these two. Number one, who do they bring in? And two, why the hell did they wait so long? Because they're going to have to get something sorted before the next transfer window and try and weed some of that dead wood out of Ibrox. There is real chopping it all bloody down, but I mean, they need to get rid of it quickly.
Who actually brought them in? Who was it brought that to in?
There's a good question, Ian, because I start to look at the top of the tree and I go, you should be accountable as well.
Yeah. Andy, you have indeed. Boris is just asking there as he missed the Liverpool back. Yeah, it's just finished there, mate. We're on to talk about how lousy Rangers are, Andy. She can stick around for that, you know what I mean? So there we go. Sorry, Ian, you were saying there.
No, it was just often was told not the person that did the job, but the guy that brought him in to do it, because he obviously thought he was good.
But Ian, I looked through the qualifications and the education side of this board of directors, and I think I raised it maybe about 4 weeks ago, and it was astounding. And I did say at the time, they've got enough brain power there to get you to the moon, and yet they can't go across the other side of Glasgow and get 3 points. And that's the problem you've got. You've got people involved in football at that top level who have got absolutely magnificent knowledge of so many things. But when it gets to football, they are so limited. And because they've got that money and they've got that brain power, and they seem to think that coming into the world of football, that's enough. It's not enough. It's never enough. And again, if you get the chance, have a look at that board of directors. Unbelievable. And yet, they're like a bag of mince when they're trying to put sporting directors and the right players into the club. Absolutely shocking. And, it's like watching students you sometimes worry when you see them hardly being able to cut across the road. And these are the people for the future are running the country. I mean, I see this regularly when I go up to St Andrews. You see them wandering about there. They can barely walk across the road, some of them. But the future is the type of people we are talking about who have no common sense and unbelievable brain power. And that's what the problem we've got today with the top level of top-heavy clubs, going back to who employed the sporting directors or the level that's bringing in players that are no fit for purpose. And the person that's paying for this is normal throughout the world nowadays. Joe Bloggs, it's got to go and do a shift to pay to get in. Now, I looked at the crowd there for last night's game at Ibrox. It wasn't even 40,000, 38,000 something. I was quite surprised because it just shows you that some of them are chopping it. They've had enough of it.
Yeah.
And really, looking at the Rangers team last night and the players without going through them all individually, I actually thought after it and thought, are these inflatables managing to go all the way up the Clyde, and we're getting the migrants coming into Glasgow, and Rangers, Ibrox is only probably a couple of miles away. They're just rolling up at the front door and getting a game. Because if you had watched that performance last night with them, you might believe for a minute it was asylum seekers. It was that bad. It is absolutely appalling. And I also thought as well, if you freed every single one of them with the exception of the goalkeeper, and you said to the Scottish Premier League managers, you can have them, all you've got to do is pay their wages they're on. I don't think one of them would get a game in any other team. Now, I'd never ever in my life thought that I'd be saying that about any of the old firm, and Celtic are no million miles behind them. That if you said to other clubs, you can have the players, just pay the wages that they've been signed up for, because we need to offload them, I think they'd be left with the bulk of them.
Yeah.
Because they are not good enough.
Celtic and Rangers are on a level of their own when it comes to wages. The
I
rest
know that, Ian. I'm
miles
trying not to say you give them for free and give them $2,000 a week. That just wouldn't happen. But at the same time, I don't think if you were giving them $2,000 a week and it was a game of football, they would want it or they would take them. I was being generous then.
There's not many you would want anyway.
No,
I
that's the
think
point I'm
that's
trying to make. They're
the
dire.
point Dennis is making there, and bring it back to soccer aid. We could end up doing soccer aid for the Rangers team next season, because something is going to need to be done to pay the wages, because it's true enough. There's very, very few players there. I mean, at least they've got their whole defences on loan, so they can ship them back to clubs that to their parents' clubs or to their parent clubs. Sorry, but you look at what else they've got. Dennis, I know you slaughtered Dessers, but Christ, Rangers would bite your hand off just now for a Dessers. The dogs bite your hand
but Cammy,
off.
that doesn't make excuses for the state they're in now. If you look at it, Raskin was classed now as one of the better players. He was one that was ready to go out the road and would have been freed. And I really was worried there when you talked about soccer aid, because they wouldn't get a game with them either. I thought you were going to say they'll need to have a game in that to raise some money for themselves. There's no chance that we get in that lineup. No, I really believe, though, that Rangers have got a major problem. Celtic will be the next ones, because the supporters are not going to let that lie that the sporting directors, etc., have left Rangers without them having their tuppence worth. They had a good result during the week, but the bottom line is you watch, there'll be movements at Celtic if they slip shortly. But, Cammy, I'll tell you what, it's a hard shift for who they bring in, because the players are so poor, and you just need to look at the big centre half in last night's game. There's people come out of pub in Sunday matches, and they would have done a better job of clearing that. In fact, a drunk man would have done a better job. You said to me the night I hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
You need to have a look at this goal.
As you say, there's guys coming off the boats could probably have done a better job than half of that team last night, certainly, and some of them do look as if they haven't seen anybody else other than folk on the boats, you know what I mean? So some of the performances they're doing. Let's give a bit of credit to Celtic. I know obviously we're bashing the old firm, but let's give Celtic a bit of credit last night. That was a fantastic result. To go to Rotterdam and get a 3-1 victory over there, absolutely excellent result, and we're very, very quick to bash Scottish football, but to go to Feyenoord and get a 3-1 victory, that takes you back to the late 60s, early 70s when Celtic were getting results in Europe. And actually beating clubs like Feyenoord and things like that. So fair play to Celtic getting that result last night.
Yeah, they played well.
Played very well. Going to go behind Ian.
Yeah, they came. Yeah, it was difficult for them, but they did. They played really well. So, as you say, give them credit for that. But
they've done well.
What you were saying about like the Rangers, it was just the fact that we're probably not giving Hearts enough credit for what they've done.
Without a doubt.
With a very limited budget, the budget of everybody else, and they've pulled a set of players together that work really well for each other. I watched them against Aberdeen, and I felt sorry for them, because they should have at least got a draw at that game. They probably should have won it. But Aberdeen rode their luck, and they needed points at the moment. But on another day, I think I would have gladly let them have the points, because the more that they push Celtic and Rangers, the more pressure they're under, it opens the cracks up more. Whereas if they're comfortable, you don't see them.
Graham's almost saying there, I wish the hell we had get the points last week. You know what I mean? Graham, it's been a rougher month for you the last wee while. Obviously Hearts' form since they beat Celtic has dropped a wee bit. It's dropped a wee bit. I've just seen the next comment is coming up. It has dropped a wee bit, Graham, and obviously your Liverpool are not doing so well either, as we've discussed. But the one thing is, I think obviously Hearts can turn it around for sure, and Ian, you're right, their form this season has been nothing short of sensational. I'm saying they've dipped, that's their first loss this season in the league. But obviously they've had a couple of draws, St Mirren, but Hearts have been nothing short of sensational, and the longer they can keep it going, the better for sure. The better for Scottish football. That's for definite, Dennis.
Yeah, I've said in the tipped it, probably a kiss of death, but I'm tipping Hearts again and again to win the league. But if you look at the Tony Bloom part, that was something I was going to mention as well. That a lot of people should maybe look at the way he does his business. when we're talking about sporting directors and how things go about it, because Tony Bloom is the unbelievable chairman that is bringing in money, and he's also helping Hearts out as well, and it's working exceptionally well. So a lot of people that are in failing clubs at this moment in time, like the ones we've discussed, need to maybe take a leaf at his book and say, right, we'll have a chat with you. How do you think we should go about it? Who do you think we should get in that will help us get back to the levels that we should be at? I don't think it costs much to go and have a discussion with people like that have done it right. And Hearts, yeah, definitely. Aberdeen, just the fact that Hearts are doing exceptionally well and Aberdeen's managed to get a result, Ian, is that a sign of things to come with Aberdeen? I know they got a result last night in the conference against a team that was sitting a fair bit above them in the Conference League. Do you think there's an improvement? I didn't see the game, but
yes, there is.
Are they turning the corner?
Definitely an improvement in form, and they've actually, thankfully, he's actually putting his faith in youth. He's got a centre half there. I think Jack Milne, I believe his name is, just a young lad. His confidence is growing all the time, and he looks like he's a local lad, and he looks like a player that can suit him. He could sit in a back four quite happily. He's got that bit of pace. He looks comfortable on the ball, but obviously it's a big decision when you're sitting bottom of the league to put your faith in youth. And he started to do that because he's realised that we need to get out of a hole, and we're slowly but surely doing that. But hopefully, as I say, you bring in new players, then they've all got to try and merge and play together well. But there was a lot of luck last Sunday. I'm not going to get away from that. But sometimes the luck has gone the other way. So
yeah. Well, see if they turn the corner. They've got Livingston away on Sunday, so it'll be interesting to see if they can get over that hurdle now and go and beat Livingston, and maybe that's a sign of them making a bit more progression.
I mean, it was a god awful day, weather-wise in Aberdeen, and they still got just under 18,000 turning up. So
right.
The support was still with them.
No, last week.
Sorry, yes, the last game. Sorry, yes, and they got a good support. So the support's still with them. The away support as well.
So,
yeah. Well, moving away and looking at the fixtures over the weekend, when we look at the English Premier League tomorrow, 5 games on, Brentford at home to Burnley. Not necessarily going to be many tuning into that one. I want to go along and see that. Manchester City at home to Leeds United. Sunderland, the surprise team so far this season, even though they lost last week, they're at home to Bournemouth. And then you've got 2 late kickoffs. Everton, fresh for their victory over Manchester United during last Monday night, which really snookered up my fantasy team. But they're at home to Newcastle United, and you've got Spurs at home to Fulham as well. When we move into Sunday in the English Premier League, it's Palace against Manchester United in the 12 o'clock kickoff. That is going to be an absolute cracker, and I cannot believe that's not on the TV. You've got Villa against Wolves, Forest at home to Brighton, West Ham United taking on Liverpool in a game we mentioned, and Super Sunday sees my tips for the title now, who I think I mentioned last week, or my tips to run Arsenal closest, as I say, is going to be Chelsea, and they're actually at home to Arsenal, and that should be an absolute belter tomorrow, guys.
I don't think there's a game there that you're comfortable.
Sunday, Cammy. Sunday.
Aye, that's right. Sorry, did I not say sorry? Sunday, yeah. If I said tomorrow, I did mean Sunday. When we move into the Premiership tomorrow, it's Dundee against Spurs. Killie against Dundee United is the late game, and another 3 o'clock kickoff. And I think that will tell us a lot about Hearts. You had them on the show a couple of weeks ago. Guests for both sides, Dennis. You've got Motherwell at home to Hearts. In the 3 o'clock game tomorrow at Fir Park. And again, that's going to be an absolute cracking game there. I know, unfortunately, I don't think Graham can get along to that. And Mr. Toner's managed to get hospitality tickets for that game. So that should be an absolute cracking game tomorrow. It should be a good one. And I think, as Graham himself said, that will tell you a lot about Hearts if they can move on from where they were last week. From obviously that loss to Aberdeen. The Premier League tomorrow and Sunday sees Hibs at home to Celtic, Rangers at home to Falkirk. Falkirk side who have hit some really good form.
Unbelievable.
Livingston at home to Aberdeen. Other games tomorrow, Dennis. We've got the Scottish Cup back tomorrow. I'm just clicking back. So games there tomorrow. You've got Airdrie against Hamilton, Annan against Bucky, Ayr United against Turriff, Banks of D against Ross County. Scouse, you try and stay awake while I'm going through some of these teams, mate. Don't think how many points they're going to get. Abo game. You've got Benburb against Montrose, Bonnyrigg Rose against Spartans. Game I might actually go along to tomorrow. You get Camelin Juniors at home to Edinburgh City. Dumbarton against Auchinleck Talbot. Dunfermline against Queen of the South. East Fife for Broth. Does this ever end? Elgin City against Stirling Albion. Forfar against Thistle. Kelty Hearts against Brechin. Peterhead against Morton. Morton side now managed by Billy Davis as Dougie Emery moved on to Wraith Rovers against Alloa, where obviously Dougie's gone. That's right.
Andy Millen. Andy Millen's joined them as well.
It's Andy joined him as well. Brilliant.
Yes.
Good. Good to
Great
see the
move,
two
Andy.
after the shit that Andy went through at Morton. Johnson at home at Cove Rangers. Steny against Clack. Stranraer against Clydebank, and Trinant Juniors taking on Inverness. That's good news about Andy. I'm really, really happy for him. That's great. And it just goes to show that obviously what happened to him had absolutely nothing to do with Dougie Emery. You know, the fact that the two of them are reuniting together.
That's spoken to him. I just read it. So I can only pass on what I've read rather than speaking to Andy. So we will try and get him on the show in the next 2 or 3 weeks and see what his thoughts are on Wraith Rovers and the move that he's got. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Scouts, any of them games catch your attention in the Scottish Cup?
Kelty Hearts. Yeah. Where are they? Where's that? Where about Scotland?
Well, it's not that far from where Hartley comes up occasionally.
It's near Dunfermline. That's the easiest way.
So
it's close to Dunfermline.
Might go to a game sometime.
Yeah. Well, if you're up in February, you can go to a game.
Oh yeah, you going to a Celtic game or Rangers game?
Oh, I think it's the Rangers game. He's staying in Edinburgh and going to the Rangers game. So if you're up for that, you can maybe take in a game where you can maybe go along to that with Burrows and his clan. Obviously, I'll not be there, but you can maybe take that in with them.
Are you going?
No, I'm in Gran Canaria.
Oh,
that time,
isn't it? Eh? Try it for some.
But what can I say, mate? What can I say? It's not just Washington, Spain. I go to, you know, or watching at Madrid. Well, guys, listen, it's been an interesting show tonight. We did spend a hell of a lot of time on Liverpool, but we knew that was going to be the case. So thanks very much to Ian Harrison. Ian, I know obviously we spent a lot of time in Liverpool, didn't get the time to really discuss Aberdeen and Cove Rangers, but definitely appreciate your input on that. Scouts, good to I did promise you at some point in time I'd get you on, you know what I mean? So under the threat of an absolute pasting the next time I saw you, definitely did say we were going to get you on. So thanks very much for your input. And as I say, Liverpool, it was, to me, the big talking point of the week is the decline of the Anfield club. And Dennis, thanks as always, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Nice to see you, Andy, and you as well, Ian.
Yeah, Andy, nice talking to you.
Yeah.
So all that remains to be seen is, say, guys, please go ahead, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your pals, get your dog, get your parrot, get your granny to subscribe, whoever else you can think about. It does help us out a lot because it is always happening on the pitch. Good night.